Thanks to Dr. Peter Gale for being with us. He is the Wizard of Weeds, and celebrate dandelions next weekend in Ohio at the National Dandelion Cook-Off. Why do we need a dandelion celebration?
Dandelions over the last 50 years or so have become something that's pretty noxious. But before that, in America, they were a standard item on the table all the way through the Depression particularly.
Really?
And all over the world, they're a standard item on the table at the present time. I have right now some 1,000 recipes from 53 countries for dandelions. And in Italy alone, they're pretty much the national vegetable.
Now, are you talking about we could actually go out to our yard right now and dig up the dandelions that are out there and turn them into something edible?
You bet. I'm looking out my window here as we talk, and I'm looking at all the beautiful yellow flowers. Those flowers by tonight will be converted into what we call Dandelion Burgers. They were the first prize winner in the 1994 contest. And I will go out and get myself a cup of those. I'll gather the yellow flowers this afternoon and clean off the green part off the bottom. Put a cup of those yellow flowers with a half a cup of flour, with a quarter cup of chopped onions, with some salt and garlic, pepper, garlic, and then I'll add some thyme and some rosemary and oregano to it, and we'll mix that up into patties, make that into patties and fry them, and they'll be vegetarian burgers. Our daughter, who's now 18, began using these back when she was about 13. I guess she was about 13 when the recipe was submitted to the contest, and she fell in love with them. She just can't get enough of them. We have that about 10, 15 times during the season when the dandelions are in flower. So clarify, you eat the yellow part of the dandelion? All parts of the dandelion are edible. The green part is edible primarily before the flower buds appear, which means from March in our area, and guess about the same in your area, March until sometime in early May. And then the greens become quite bitter. You then will bypass the greens until after flowering, mow them back down to the ground, and then all the young greens that come up throughout the summer into about November are just as good as the ones in spring. The flowers are edible when they come on. You can make waffles, you can make muffins out of them, you can make fritters. Many people dip them in batter and fry them up, and they taste just like mushrooms. You can make, as I've said, the dandy burgers out of them. I have 25 recipes for dandelion flowers alone in my book, the Dandelion Celebration. Wow. And then the roots are edible also. And there are two books. The first book is the Dandelion Celebration, Guide to Unexpected Cuisine. And we started the Dandelion Cook-Off to draw attention to that book and to the dandelions themselves. And the Volume 2 is the Great Dandelion Cookbook, which is the recipes for the finalists and winners of the first 4 National Dandelion Cook-Offs. There's 125 recipes in that. So between the two books, there's some 200 recipes for dandelions. I have to ask you, though, about the danger of pesticides, because many people put pesticides on their lawn, and that, of course, will affect the dandelion. And should that not keep you from eating that, then? Yeah, you should not eat the dandelions when they have pesticide on them. Dandelions are one of those plants that soak up, or that selectively will assimilate the materials, the nutrients, as well as the pesticides in the environment, and they will concentrate them in themselves. So you definitely do not want to gather dandelions from areas where there's been pesticide or herbicide applied. So if people have treated their lawns, you're saying do not go out there and pick those dandelions and try that. And I also was amazed to read in one of your books that you mentioned that there are actual people who commercially grow dandelions. That's right. In fact, it's about between the dandelions that are grown for medicinal market and for the fresh greens market, it's right now about a $10 million a year fresh greens industry in the United States. Maybe I could make some money off my yard finally. It possibly could. Dr. Peter Gale is the Wizard of Weeds, the defender of dandelions, and he's got a couple of cookbooks available. You can call toll-free 800-697-4858 on News Radio 1040 WHO. Dr. Peter Gale is the cookbook author and the dandelion expert. And Peter, tell us how you got started eating dandelions. It's interesting because I really didn't like dandelions at first. I'm a PhD ethnobotanist, a guy who studies how other cultures use plants in their economy. And so my study for the last 37 years has been how ethnics use backyard weeds for food and medicine. I started in it when I was 9 years old. My dad died. A friend told my mother that we could live off lamb's quarters in our backyard. And so for 6 months, my brother and I went out and gathered the young tops of lamb's quarters, and my mother made them into all kinds of things. But as the years went by, I got interested in it in college and went on to finish my PhD in the subject, and then started doing research as a college professor, and gathered from all kinds of ethnic people from all over the world, from mostly in Europe and here in Cleveland and in New Jersey before that, recipes and folk remedies and so on, and I filed them away. And while I was teaching college, I'd file them in my file cabinet. And in 1979, I was looking through that, and I found that I had 7 full file drawers of recipes.
Wow.
And one of the largest collections in the world, if not the largest collection of such information. At that time, I became aware that in Europe, these plants are used as just a regular part of the diet. I was over there as head of the International Studies program for my university, and I saw a cookbook display in the window in a bookstore, and that got me started interviewing people. And I decided I wanted to share what I'd learned. I was so impressed with this that I wanted to share it with Americans. So I came home and decided the best way to do that would be to write a cookbook about the plants that were the most popular of these weedy vegetables. My students and I went through the files, and we found that we had over 50 recipes for 26 different common backyard weeds. Wow. Then the question was, which one do you start with? Which one do you share first? The criteria came down to those that were instantly recognizable. So it limited them pretty much to violets and dandelions. And then we started counting the recipes again to determine which one should be the first book that I work on. And we came up with 632 recipes from 43 countries for dandelions alone.
Are there health benefits to eating dandelions?
Tremendous health benefits to eating dandelions. In looking into dandelions, we discovered that they are more nutritious than any other vegetable, and they have more health-promoting substances as well.
More nutritious than any other vegetable?
Than any other vegetable. There's 74 different nutrients and health-promoting substances in dandelions.
Wow.
Compared with others that don't have nearly that much. They are the best of all of the vegetables in terms of what they will do for the body.
That's amazing. And you can get all these recipes in the Dandelion cookbooks available by calling 800-697-4858.